Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming to Metro Hall. When you think about the state of the world right now and the state of the city, we've got some challenges out there. There's no question about that with the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic downturn, and the calls for racial justice, the long overdue calls for racial justice in our city and our country. And these crises really converge on our communities of color, where we've seen high rates of COVID-19 infections and deaths, higher rates of unemployment, and of course, where we see today the impact of generations of Americans struggling to, amongst other things, build and pass on wealth as a result of institutional racism. Just to cite one statistic for the last category, when you look at family wealth, the average white family has 10 times the wealth of the average black family. 10 times. Mayors around the country, including myself, are calling on Congress to make changes at the national level to address this. So many of the challenges that we face in our city and cities around the country are just due to poverty, not having enough money to get through the day and provide a platform of hope for your family. So how can we change that? At the federal level, clearly if there was a change from the minimum wage to a living wage, that would have an instant breakthrough impact for our country overnight. Congress can do that. We've also called, and I passed a resolution with the Conference of Mayors to support reparations for African Americans, descendants of slaves, who for too long have been denied of the wealth that they were owed, were promised. 40 acres and a mule was never put out there, and the inability for African Americans to build wealth has been a legacy that's unfortunately been with us ever since. But while we fight for change at the national level, we have to take actions now at the local level to promote equity and justice and opportunity for all Louisvillians, but especially those that have been hit the hardest by COVID-19 pandemic and the economic downturn. So some steps that we've taken include setting up the One Louisville COVID-19 Response Fund to support households and nonprofits that serve the community. The community raised $11 million to do that. Helping out our small businesses through Small Business COVID-19 Relief Program, $21 million has been set aside for that. And providing eviction prevention assistance, another $21 million, including our partnership announced yesterday with the courts and legal aid to create a critical last line of defense to help people stay in their homes. To augment these, we need Congress, we need the U.S. Senate, the U.S. House to do their job, come to a consensus on what needs to be put forth in this latest direct federal relief package, which has not been finalized in Washington, D.C. So once again, we call on them to please get your business done so you can help the citizens of America. Now, as we fight to mitigate the pandemic's impact on the people of Louisville, it's really critical that we continue to offer programs that promote long-term housing stability and self-sufficiency. That's why Metro government and partners like Louisville Metro's Housing Authority have developed strategies designed to help people stay and thrive in their neighborhoods. These strategies are particularly important as we see increased investment in long underinvested neighborhoods, like the total $1 billion that's been invested west of 9th Street over the past several years, still underway as well. We want to assure people that the investment happening in their neighborhood is designed to benefit them, with the goal, as we've been saying all along, is to show how Louisville can regenerate neighborhoods without displacing the people that live in the neighborhoods and that created the soul of the neighborhoods. We particularly want to help members of our black community build and pass on the generational wealth that has been historically denied through redlining and other policies. You'll recall that we started talking about redlining from this podium some 3 or 4 years ago and commissioned the study on redlining in our community so people could understand, especially white Louisville could understand what redlining was all about and how it denied the ability for African Americans in redline districts to own their homes. Because we know one of the best ways to build wealth is through home ownership. It's how most every family does it. So that's why I'm really proud here to announce this morning that Louisville Metro is investing more than $7 million in our down payment assistance and home repair programs. It's a big step for the city follows on much of the work that we've been doing, but really proud to announce that here this morning. For so many people, one barrier to home ownership is the struggle to save enough money for a down payment. They're paying the rent, no problem, but it's coming up with that money for the down payment that's critical so you can own your home. So the Office of Housing's Down Payment Assistance Program breaks down that barrier by providing income-eligible residents with funds that equal up to 20% of their home purchase price. And that 20%, as we all know, is kind of that magical number, so you can get that down payment in there so you can start paying on a mortgage so that you own your home. And to make sure that these homes are all that they should be, we have the Office of Housing's home repair programs, where homeowners, including those who are buying a home through the Down Payment Assistance Program, can access money to cover the cost of electrical and HVAC upgrades, plumbing, and roofing as well. The city also offers home repair programs specifically for residents of West Louisville, Smoketown, and Shelby Park. Our hardworking staff at the Office of Housing is currently accepting applications for these programs and estimate that they will be able to fulfill more than 350 applications. These are game changers. You can learn more about these programs or apply at louisvilleky.gov/government/housing. In addition, we announced yesterday that our Office of Community Development has launched an RFP to find one or more partner organizations to develop and manage a community land trust, which would create permanently affordable housing. We've been working on this for a long time, so we're going to be hearing more about that in a second. The Community Land Trust could be established in multiple neighborhoods through Louisville. In areas lacking affordable housing, they can provide a pathway to home ownership. And in neighborhoods experiencing high levels of investment, they can be a very effective tool against displacement. Metro government and our nonprofit community partners have discussed establishing one or more land trusts in Louisville for several years now. And in February of 2019, our housing needs assessment identified community land trust as an important tool for anti-displacement and for increasing access to affordable housing. So to tell us more about the work Metro government is doing to promote housing security and fight displacement, I'd like to welcome Marilyn Harris, Director of the Office of Housing. Marilyn?
Thank you, Mayor Fisher. Our home repair programs are the bulk of the work that we do in the Office of Housing. From our code alleviation program, which is available county-wide, to our targeted wealth building strategies in West Louisville, we're working daily to make an impact on the housing stock in our community. Our code alleviation program, funded with $1 million worth of bonds, can assist any resident in the city with outstanding code violations, from gutters and roofing to steps to windows and handrails. We can help homeowners get these issues resolved. Our home repair program can assist with minor repairs, such as dripping faucets or commodes that run, which of course increase water bills and make the house less affordable. We can help homeowners get these issues resolved also. These programs are available, again, to all residents of Metro. We have targeted home repair programs in the 9 West Louisville neighborhoods, as well as Shelby Park and Smoketown. We focus our efforts here because the residents in these communities are facing extraordinary issues around displacement and gentrification. We've got over $1 million in the home repair Metro-wide, but we've got $1.8 million for Russell specifically and $1.7 million for other neighborhoods that are at risk. In addition to the construction work we're doing in these programs and with these homeowners, we will work with these homeowners to ensure they take full advantage of the revised tax moratorium, which will stabilize property taxes for homeowners rehabbing their homes. Homeowners shouldn't have to worry about being able to afford their property taxes when investments are occurring in and around their communities. We also have the down payment and closing cost assistance program, which is by far one of our most successful programs and has the largest impact on helping low-income people become homeowners and owning a part of the community in which they reside. We have $1 million funded through the Home Investment Partnerships Program for this, as well as $500,000 funded through the Louisville CARES for a shared equity down payment assistance program. The shared equity program will allow homeowners up to 80%, a larger down payment, but also will allow them to purchase houses in areas that might have previously, due to price, been excluded. Finally, I want to take this chance to share the story of a woman who has benefited from our program. Her name is Christy. She's unable to be here today because she is a JCPS assistant for the Early Childhood Education Program. And of course, they're preparing for their school year under COVID terms as non-traditional instruction. Nevertheless, they are working hard to get that done. But she did share her story with us, and I wanted to share it with you. She's a 36-year-old single mother with 2 children. She was living in the South End, and she came in, made application, and took advantage of our down payment assistance program to buy a home for her family. Here's what she had to say. For the majority of my life, I thought buying a house would only be a dream versus a realistic goal. I didn't think my income would ever be enough for me to be able to provide for my family the way I always dreamed while I was growing up. Affordable housing opened up the door of opportunity for me to obtain something that I once thought would never happen. Not only did it provide me with the one thing that I thought would be impossible, but it also provided me a house that fits my family's needs at an affordable cost, and some say it's cheaper than rent. This is a double win. Affordable housing became proof to show my children and me that even though things may not work out the way we anticipate, with enough hard work, self-discipline, and programs like this, we can reach things that at one moment you think are unreachable. Thank you.
Thanks, Marilyn. And that story there's hundreds of those by folks who have been able to take advantage of the down payment assistance program. When we have the community trainings on that back in the day when we could get together pre-COVID, lots and lots of people show up and just excited to know that home ownership is within reach of theirs. So it's wonderful that we can use public money to help that dream become a reality and build wealth in our neighborhood. So I'm really proud to be able to do that. So when we think about creating new affordable housing and increasing housing stability and helping more Louisvillians become more self-sufficient, it's a big job. And it takes a lot of people to get that done. So it's only possible with teamwork and great effort from many partners throughout the city. And we have an incredible partner in the Louisville Metro Housing Authority. Through its Section 8 homeownership program and other efforts, the Housing Authority has helped residents become self-sufficient and realize their dreams. So we're really excited to have the Housing Authority's Executive Director, Lisa Osanka, with us here today. She'll tell us about a new program recently approved by HUD that will help homeowners in the Park Duval, Phoenix Hill, Smoketown, or Russell neighborhood remain in their homes. Lisa, thank you to the great job you do and the entire team at the Housing Authority. Lisa Osanka.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Osanka. I'm the Executive Director of the Louisville Metro Housing Authority. I'm excited to announce, MTW activity that the Housing Authority first made open for public comment in early March, and it took the wheels of HUD a number of months to get the final approval, but they did provide that late last week. And what it does is, if you might know, maybe, that the Housing Authority of Jefferson County was the first housing authority in the nation back in 1997 to use the Housing Choice Voucher Subsidy Assistance to use that for home ownership. And we've received a number of awards through the years. And so we decided, let's look at how we can make that even better. And so we looked at where were neighborhoods where the Housing Authority had a significant investment, and the city has had a significant investment, and where the homeowners that might be in those neighborhoods, those homeowners that were already there before the Housing Authority and the city made those investments, do they need help now? And so it was determined that the families, the homeowners in the Russell neighborhood, in the Park Duval neighborhood, the Phoenix Hill neighborhood, and the Smoketown neighborhood, that they would have the opportunity to enter into our voucher program for home ownership if they have their income qualified, of course, and they also are housing cost burdened. And so these funds, like the regular Housing Choice Voucher to Home Ownership Program, can be used to pay principal, taxes, insurance, interest, as well as utility costs to make home ownership more affordable for those families who have already invested in those neighborhoods that the Housing Authority and also the city then invested in. So obviously the benefits of home ownership, the mayor made clear. This is something that is a wealth building. It's long-term. It gives families an opportunity to pass on generational wealth, and the Housing Authority is excited to begin the recruitment efforts for families in those neighborhoods that would be qualified for this assistance to see if this is something that they would like to participate in. All right, thank you.
So you can see how all this comes together. We've got our local approach through Metro government. We magnify the efforts through our federal dollars through HUD. And then we have local investment that takes place as well. So Yvonne Smith is here with us today. She's the executive director of OneWest, one of our development companies based in the West, and she will share some remarks with us. Yvonne?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Yvonne Smith. I'm with OneWest, and I'm really excited about all these announcements. This is wonderful. This is going to improve our wealth creation strategies for the city and, most importantly, for West End. I just want to say that this is a wonderful response, Mayor Fisher, to the Responsible Revitalization Conference that OneWest hosted back in October 2019, where we spoke directly to the community of the West End. All 9 neighborhoods spoke, residents specifically, talking directly to leadership and each other about what they wanted to see happen. And these are the kinds of things they mentioned. They don't want to be subjected to forced displacement, and they do want ownership opportunities, but they also mentioned the need to have resources to repair their homes. So this is wonderful, Marilyn. You are right on track. I will say we are dealing with a lot of comprehensive issues. We didn't get here overnight, so we're not going to dig our way out overnight. So I think it takes all of us leaning into one another and to build bridges on how we can affect change for the most disenfranchised and marginalized people. I want you to know that the West End families that I met and have known over the past 2.5 years are a proud Louisvillian crew. They really enjoy their homes. They enjoy their neighborhoods. They have so much wonderful history to share. And so helping them remain at home and in safe places is extremely important. I want to also say we just celebrated a wonderful conference on Saturday for the minority contractors, and I want to invite everyone to participate that can in the plan room that OneWest is raising up. We are a nonprofit in West Louisville, and we are very interested in helping to build the wealth of the West Louisvillian residents as well as the businesses. So if that's an interest of anyone out there listening, we want to invite you to the table because this is just the beginning of what we can all do together. Thank you.
Thanks, Yvonne. Okay, so a lot of new tools available to build wealth in the community today, especially in the West End of Louisville. With that, we're happy to take any questions. Well, let me thank Marilyn Wiederwall and Jeff O'Brien over here from Louisville Forward and Develop Louisville, who've been very active in making all this happen today and working with our various partners. So thank you all. Okay, questions?
I'm sorry it's a bit off topic, but everyone's wondering about the Churchill Downs announcement this morning and the fact they are going to go forward with the Derby next month with, I think, some significant changes they've announced.
Yes. Yeah, yes. Churchill is downsizing their approach toward to the Derby. Obviously, a responsible thing to do given all of the COVID conditions going on. Churchill's a huge facility. I know they've worked with the state to make sure that the event can go off safely, and I think they're being very responsive to the public health conditions because of COVID right now.
Mayor, we've received lots of calls about people concerned about safety, especially with the increase in carjacking reports.
Yep.
What would you say to people concerned about that?
be aware. I mean, we have had a fourfold increase in carjackings this year from about 14 a year ago to this time to 56 was reported last week. So LMPD is understanding what's going on and having some projects associated with understanding it and executing it, or identifying who's involved. So we're certainly aware of all of that. In the meantime, I think the awareness of people is just very important about it. It's obviously not acceptable about what's going on. We're seeing more and more young people involved with these carjackings as well. So it's of great concern. It's something that LMPD is focused on. All right. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yep.
I have a question in terms of these new initiatives. Are there any specific targets or goals in place in terms of how many families you want to have owning homes by a specific date? Just things like that, goals that are measurable?
Yes, I mentioned in my remarks that the total number is 350 of all. 350 homes, families will be affected by this. And I think, I don't know if it's in that, is that in the press release as well? Yes?
And they're different, I guess we're not on
Okay, we have, you have three different categories, I believe, so if you want to.
Unfortunately, we have much more demand for the home buyer program than we have funds available. We will assist 50 households through the home down payment and closing cost assistance, 50, 52, somewhere in there, depending on the investment per person. We will assist approximately 10 through the shared equity program, and that actually provides a slightly larger down payment so that houses that previously that were unattainable for lower income households, they can actually purchase those and it can be affordable to them. The mission of that program is to get affordable housing in all pockets of our community, because we do know that people are more successful when they have greater access to opportunity, and those opportunities have costs when it comes to buying a house. It generally increases the cost of a house. So the shared equity program will help 10 to 12 people. It's a pilot program this year, and the regular down payment will assist 50, 55 people. We will run out of money. There is no doubt in my mind that we will run out of money before we run out of year. This year we assisted 52 before we ran out of money. So we do have the housing needs assessment that Mayor Fisher referenced earlier. We need 31,000 plus units of affordable housing in this community. So everything we can do to invest and make those 31,000 units happen is what we're going to do.
So thank you for that question. The question around the metrics, what are we looking at? Because we were not sure if HUD was going to approve this activity, it is a brand new activity. No other housing authority in the nation is taking this on. We didn't want to promise to those neighbors and those homeowners that we could help, and so we only have a guess at how many might want to participate. And so we told HUD that maybe in the first year 100, but we're prepared for many more than that if the need is there. So when we look at the PVA data, this is where I get a little nerdy. When we look at the PVA data, and we look at those 4 neighborhoods who were existing homeowners at the time that we applied for the revitalization money in those neighborhoods, the universe is about 1,000 homeowners. And what we don't know is how many of those homeowners are income qualified. We also don't know how many of those homeowners have homeownership cost burdens.
All right.
Regarding the Derby, do you plan to go, and have you speculated on what kind of economic hit the city's going to take with such a reduction in attendance?
The economic hit, we're taking a look at that right now, but we don't have a specific number on that. And I'll evaluate it as we get closer to the Derby. No, I said I'll evaluate that as we get closer to it. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question, because obviously this is addressing the issue of gentrification that has come up in regards to the lawyers bringing it up for Breonna Taylor's case. Vice News a couple weeks ago also did a piece on gentrification and Louisville and displacement. I was curious, I haven't done this, but if I were to say file an open records request looking at an area that is being developed by working with, the city and developers, And then if I were to file open records request to look at search warrants going on in that area, would I see a correlation between search warrants going up in specific areas that are going to be developed by the city?
Those are unrelated issues from my perspective. I mean, what we're trying to do is invest in areas of the city that have long been underinvested in. It's one of the commitments I made when I came into office, and we have been doing that. We don't have widespread displacement in our city because we're not growing fast enough to do that. Now, when you see cities like Austin or Nashville that are growing faster, that's where you want to see that. That's where we believe our opportunity is, to demonstrate how you can invest in neighborhoods without displacing residents. Our Russell Place of Promise is a prime example of that, how we worked with the community residents of the Russell neighborhood to make sure that we're designing the community around what they believe. So that's our opportunity here, and we think we're executing on that opportunity. Okay.
Downtown, there's been questions about can we work towards racial justice and kind of rebuilding and revitalizing those businesses? Can the two coexist? And what is being done to meet both the needs of protesters and business owners?
Yeah, no, racial justice and business growth are complementary. They have to exist. I mean, we can only realize our potential as a city and as a country when they do coexist. And that's what the hope is that's coming out of all of this energy that's on the streets of America right now, is that people, the white people in particular, are waking up to that and understanding for any company to realize its full potential, it has to be full of diversity. It has to have commitments to diversity. It has to have commitments to racial equity. And so that is what's happening in America right now. And I just pray that this time America in Louisville gets it right. We had an opportunity in the 60s with the civil rights movement back then, and the country dropped the ball. And that's unconscionable and unacceptable. And I can say from my standpoint here as the mayor of Louisville, that's where all of our energy is being put forward to make sure that we have justice, to make sure that we have equity, and that's causing a lot of change from people, but that change is long overdue.
Any specific changes?
It's hiring practices, it's your procurement practices, it's attitudinal practices, it's just commitment to understanding what other people have gone through multi-generationally. It's understanding historic racism, institutional racism, and being upfront about that. It's about putting that curriculum in our schools so that kids grow up understanding the type of injustice that's taken place in our country, so that we can get to a society where everybody has the same opportunities, where everybody's filled with hope for a future. And we're not there right now, but we need to be committed to making that happen. All right, thanks everybody for coming out.